All right, hi everyone. My name is Chris. We're just going to get started. I will tell everyone how to utilize Figma today. Exciting stuff. So if I could just give a 30-second overview. Figma is very quickly becoming one of the biggest, most important products to use for design. It used to be Sketch. It still is for many companies, but Sketch kind of is losing the ball a little bit because it's not really listening to the customers at all times, whereas Figma is. Figma is particularly phenomenal for things like collaboration, prototyping, and just the post-COVID, post-pandemic world. I know we're still in the pandemic, but they're really shaping themselves out to be the primary tool for folks like myself, for example, who are remote workers, right? Sketch, unfortunately, is a little bit more clunkier in that way. So Figma is quickly becoming, like I said, the go-to tool. And if you ever need to use Sketch or Adobe XD or any one of the products for your day job, a lot of these tools and keystrokes very much transition from one to another. So you're in good hands if you learn any one at all. I will share my screen today. One tiny second. Which one should we do all? Maybe I'll just do IKEA. Why not? IKEA is kind of something we were doing recently, and let's jump into that. So let's talk about user interface just for a second. It can feel really challenging and intimidating, but all it really is just a lot of hands-on practice. Let me pull my screen over. When you are beginning your relationship with user interface, I highly recommend not necessarily watching videos to start, such as, for example, how to use Figma. What I recommend is creating a project and then being able to Google questions that relate to that project, because I think there's a much better connection to your mind when you have a very specific question that you're trying to answer rather than trying to get the entire full spectrum of knowledge. A really terrific way to get familiar with the products, such as Figma, is to recreate, let's say, a screen that you're really interested in breaking apart. Let me just actually get one of the screens, a fresh one, if I may. Sorry, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to, of course, answer them as well. And you know what, IKEA, we're going to pause on IKEA just because let's just do something fresh. So if you all want, by the way, I can also share my document. Is that something that will be interesting to you?
Yes, I'll be interested.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Back to files, sorry guys. Okay. So I can talk through my work and also give ideas for how to make it yours. So like I said, one of the best ways to learn is just to replicate a screen or a product that you're really passionate about. I can talk through how to get started. So if you have any questions, please let me know. So at the core, we have this very basic screen. If you just ignore this for a second, you have your background, kind of like your space where you're going to create. You have this left-hand menu with all the layers and assets, but that's a little bit more complicated. So let's get there in the future with components. You also have a room for pages, so page 1, page 2, etc. Figma is free to get started with, everyone, but you do have up to about 3 projects or something limited. There we go. Cool. That should work. And just ask for permission and then I can customize it. At the very top here is the name. This is also how you can duplicate documents like you will once you get this specific document to open. And here is once we start changing our file, you're going to see a bunch of things like colors and shapes and sizes, and that's all going to happen in this menu. So let's begin. One of the first things to familiarize yourself with is the keystrokes on your machine. Your keystrokes are going to make your life a million times easier. So, but by the way, if you ever forget a keystroke, don't worry, they're all located here. For example, let's do a rectangle, R, right? Line is L, arrow is up, L. You're rarely going to use arrow. Ellipse is O, so that's your standard circle. But the very first thing we need to do is create a new frame or artboard in the world of Sketch. So frame, as you might guess, the letter is F. But if you ever forget, it's frame right there. If you click on, if you click on F, you're going to see this menu light up with a variety of sizes. So Figma did the work for you of providing the sizing. And we're going to probably just stick to mobile today, because mobile is a little bit easier to get started with, and it's also super relevant to today's job market. So we're going to go ahead and just choose iPhone 11 Pro Max. I'm going to make sure that this screenshot fits that size. So I'm just going to hold my Shift key down and minimize it, because if I don't hold Shift, by the way, Shift is a very important keystroke. If I don't hold Shift, it's going to do all of this funky stuff. So I always make sure to just hold Shift down when I minimize my screens. So now we just got to start to the very best of our ability recreating this screen. Why? It's going to get our design chops better, and we are going to see kind of the layout that the specific design or designer team chose to do, and it's just going to allow us to see better. When I say see, I mean, I know we're all seeing the screen in front of us, but actually look at the details. Like, for example, view professional dashboard. I don't always see this because it's just not something my eyes are drawn to, right? I would probably look at this first, maybe this because it's a blue image, etc. But we would have to start from the very top. So I would probably not recreate these from scratch. This is just the status bar. Somebody's done all that work for us already. So for the time being, I would just do like a little rectangle to just demonstrate that this is something I'm gonna have to get to later. Then I would have to essentially just start typing. Oh, I apologize, I forgot to say, to essentially create a rectangle, you would just press R. R for rectangle. If you want to be fancy and make a square, you still choose R, but you now hold your Shift key down. You see, Shift is going to be a very, very important part of your life. So in a design environment, you could start your design with wireframing, which is essentially rectangles, squares, and circles. Here, I would probably recreate it by going a little bit more high fidelity. So let's see, what are we seeing on this page that we would need to recreate? This is also a process called atomic design. I highly recommend getting familiar with it. It's a really terrific methodology of putting together components and larger structures. So anyway, we have text, we have a drop-down icon, we have another icon here, and another one. Pretty simple stuff, right? Not too complicated. So let's go ahead and recreate it. We press the letter T, T for text, T. And again, if you ever forget, it's going to be right there, T. So I'm going to go ahead and press T. Now you see a blinking light. I'm going to go ahead and do Ideate Labs. I'm going to Command A to highlight all of it. And as you see on this right-hand side, you're going to start to get text options. Now, I don't know what font Instagram uses, so that's something for me to Google. I'm not familiar off the top of my head. But regardless, let's just keep to the serif font, because sometimes I just want to progress forward. I don't want to like clean it up quite yet. This looks to be a way bigger font, so maybe let's just jump around to 24. And what I also like to do is just sometimes if I do know the font, I'll just lay it over. I feel like that's quite, for the sizing, that's quite accurate. I'll take it. This is Roboto. If anybody knows what the font is, maybe Figma has it. And if they don't, I would just have to add it. But again, probably a problem for another day. Oops. Okay. So now we have Ideate Labs. Boom. Now we have to either get these icons from somewhere or recreate them from scratch. I highly recommend not doing that because that would take you tons and tons of time. But as you see, we have two icons. We have the plus and then we have the little hamburger icon. There's a variety of ways to get iconography. One is to Google, maybe Instagram release their icons for designers to borrow from. So that would be design systems. You'd have to find that. Another one is to use an open source database or a plugin or Figma's community. So if I may show you, figma.com/community. This is a really great open source environment where you can borrow tons and tons of resources. So please take a note of that, figma.com community. I'm just going to chat it. There you go. It's terrific. You can find a whole bunch of stuff here, but what I'm looking for is, let's see, can we find Instagram icons? I'm not sure if I'm finding anything that is really sparking my mind here. So for time being, I'm gonna not do Instagram. I'm just gonna do a really generic icon set from Material. Material is Google's design library. So it's essentially all of the stuff that Google uses. And Google put out these icons for free. You're welcome to use it in any work that you have whatsoever. And there's two types of ways for me to get these icons. One is through just opening this document. So you would have to, just so we're clear, in the community section, wherever you're searching for it, you would search for material icons. Material is, again, the name of the library. I would go ahead and double click or click and duplicate, and it would open a new frame, or tab, I should say. And now I have all of the icons over here, filled, outlined, rounded. Just choose any one you like. You're welcome to also Google this, by the way. Google will give you the same thing, but this is just a quick and dirty way of doing it. So now I would have to find the icon that I need, which could be like a little plus sign. Let's see if I can do Google. I can't. I'm trying to take a shortcut. So that's one way for you to get these resources. Another one is through plugins. A plugin is kind of like a little technology that sits in the back of Figma, and it's always there, and you can utilize it for a variety of essentially ways to make your workflow faster. So let's say I'm like, oh, you guys, this is so hard. I don't want to open up this document and search for what I need all the time and then copy and drag and da-da-da. I want to just, what's an easier process? An easier process is having the plugin already built in. Let me show you what that looks like. Plus, I don't think I like that. Add. That looks a little bit better. I'm just going to use like a little plus sign, and it always exports it here. I'm going to drag him. Boom. You all might be like, Chris, that plugin's amazing. Where did you get it? So for one reason or another, it never comes up in the Figma community store. I would always have to just Google material icons Figma plugin. I know you all are like, are you really teaching me how to Google things? I know, right? I am. Google is my best friend. Google is the reason why I'm employed today. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's the truth. So a plugin, like I said, is not a tab that opens up. It's just, again, like a little integration into Figma. So please note that I installed it. I didn't duplicate it, I installed it. So this is that file. Let me share it with all of you because it's really, really useful. And that is the plugin, Material Design Icons plugin Figma. You could use whatever you like, and that's what it comes up like. And like I said, you click the letter F, plugins, material design icons. So now you see, you're like, well, Chris, you're kind of missing something. I know, I'm missing the little outline. So I'm going to go ahead. I have my little plus sign. I also wanted to just briefly chat about the relationship of your frame to your layers. So again, anytime you add anything new to your frame, your layers are going to light up. You're going to see those specific components in your layers. Sorry for the noise. I'm in Philadelphia. There's cars all the time. And once your frames start to get more complicated, more complex with more stuff on it, you have to be really diligent about organizing your layers really well. Okay. So now we have our plus sign. I kind of want to recreate the icon a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and press R. I'm going to go ahead and also press Shift because I want to make a square. Now you'll all notice that I hid my little plus sign. Where did it go? I want the plus sign to be on top of the square, right? What we're going to need to do is go over here to the vector, to where the vector is. Vector is just the file type of the plus. I can rename it just to be a little bit more specific, maybe plus, but it's still hidden. I would have to click on the plus, and I would have to drag him above the rectangle, right? I also want to change the way that the rectangle looks like, because if you notice, this one is white on the inside and with a black outline and rounded. So how are we going to change it? Well, there's a bunch of things we need to do. Number one, give it a stroke, so an outline. In Figma, your items will always come without a stroke, just to fill it in. So over here, you'll notice fill. We're gonna, I'm gonna first do the stroke because I don't want to lose my component. If it's white on white frame, I'm gonna lose it. Stroke is always gonna be black. Black is great for this because it's black outline. And now I'm gonna once again click fill, stroke, white. You're always welcome to always do this eyedropper tool in case you have like a specific color you want to use. But again, for me, I'm just using white. Now to the question of roundedness, round corners. Once again, click on this little outline of our rectangle. Do you see this little cornered, kind of like a corner radius, it's called officially, but it's like a little round line. Let's go crazy. What's 100 gonna look like? It's a circle. It's too much. 50? 50 is still too much, guys. 20. Ooh, what is going on? 20 should make a difference. Is it really only like 10? Are we too aggressive? Wow, it really only is that little, huh? Okay. Same as what we just did before. I kind of want to, let's say, make it look a little bit more true to size. So again, what do? I select my rectangle, my square, hold shift key down so it all is minimized the same way. I don't want to like lose my shape that much. If I'm really just trying to be lazy, I'll go over and do something like that. Shift. Okay. That seems a little bit better, but I still think it could be a little bit more rounded. 2, 3, 4. And another thing to notice, y'all, is that the Instagram icon is a little bit thicker. So what we're going to do is adjust for that size, maybe a 2, sorry, 3. 2 is probably the right one. 2.5. Okay. And then maybe a 5. I think I'm happy with that. I think for me not having the official icon, I'm pretty content. One more thing for us to consider is that these lines need to be edited, and we'll see if I can change it. I probably can't. I will have to find a different icon, I think, because the lines are not rounded. But again, for the time being, I'm pretty content with this. One last thing here that I really want to teach everyone, specifically with this icon, is the combination of components together and the organization of them. So let's say you kind of just did a really messy, quick sketch of all of your layers, all of your rectangles, all of your squares. Let's make sure that we are staying organized and consistent and aligned, because that will very much determine the look and feel of your user interface. So I moved the little plus away so I can show you the big difference, because this changed the way I design. When I got my first job, I did not know about alignment, which is so funny looking back now. Please click on your plus sign, shift to also select the background, which is this little rectangle. And then this is where you live for the rest of your life. You're gonna have to click align horizontal centers. Okay, so now the plus moved exactly to the middle of the horizontal line. And then one more thing is align vertical. Beautiful. Now I still have my layers chosen. Please notice when they're not selected, I'm gonna click on the plus, click shift, and now they're chosen. I'm gonna press Command G. I'm also on a Mac, I should point out, just so you all know. And that will be my add icon. Beautiful. And now we've recreated the very top of the page. I can definitely also go ahead and add a little chevron and a little menu icon. But one last thing I wanted to leave you all before I guess I take any questions, because this again was super important, is the rule of eights. And you're like, Chris, there's no time. We can't do math right now. Yes, you can. Bear with me. I'm just gonna duplicate. You know what? I'll do the official one. Material design menu probably. Yep. Very nice. That works. Look at that. Look, we're so quickly recreating things from scratch. Look at us. No time wasted at all. Okay. So let's delete this little word, delete this one. Beautiful. Let's make sure that all of the, okay, one more thing, sorry. I wanted to make sure that we're all aligned beautifully. Down, 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 I like that. Okay, look, well, we have recreated the first portion of the Instagram header. So now I have all of the ingredients, if you can call them that, but they're all kind of sprinkled in their own little world. So the way to align them, because as you see, all of this is on a nice straight path. We have to select all of our objects. Now, traditionally, again, you would group them. Please take a look at Atomic Design. It'll change your life. So this would have to be grouped with this traditionally, and then these items might be grouped together, but alas. For now, I can go ahead and choose Ideate Labs and just check out, actually forget about Ideate Labs for a second. I want to see what the distance is between my components. So number one is let's align these. I'm just going to grab 1, 2 by holding the shift key down. What am I going to do? I'm going to go right over here and I'm going to make, oh, please ignore that. I'm going to align them vertically, English. So they're aligned and I'm happy with that. But now I want to see the distance between my objects. Distances are very, very, very important for uniformity between your screens. So on one screen, if you make a mistake, no big deal. But imagine how many screens Instagram has. And if you kind of have the distances between all your components as random distances, it's going to be really difficult for the engineers to make your product come to life. So designers utilize the value of 8 to essentially have as a predetermined distance between objects. 8 is just a value that is really helpful for engineers. I'm sure there's more mathematical reason. I can also send out a little resource to help you to read up on it. But all that is you look at your object, let's say it's the plus icon, you click option, which again, option is a really good keystroke for duplication. I'm duplicating. I'm holding option and I just dragged it. You guys see? Option, drag, option, drag. But option is also really, really important because you click option and you see the space of one object to another. So if I click on this rectangle, I can see that it's 21 points or pixels away from this menu icon. I can look at this menu icon. It's 67 points away from the border. So option will always light up as a relationship of one object to another. Please notice if I want to see this as relationship to this rectangle, it's 45 points. But if it's all the way to the very top of the screen, it's going to be more. It's going to be 73. 73 points. 45, 73. Why is this important? Is because traditionally in a screen, you would have maybe like, let's say 27, 16, maybe 16 if I want to be fancy. 8. So multiples of 8. 8 might be a little bit too close for comfort. It's probably 16. I don't want to get too complex. In mobile, it's a little different, but I just start aligning your objects about multiples of 8 away. I'm just going to make sure that this is not 20, this is 16. Okay, now I'm pretty happy with how everything looks. I'm just going to highlight all my objects and align them one more time. Okay, that looks a little bit better. And then I can group them if I really want to. And that is the very beginning of a whole lot of foundational kind of quick bites for your Figma knowledge. And if you carry these ideas as you keep going, you will start to see that, you know, all that UI really is just, again, circle, circle, some text, 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 rectangle, text, and it just all builds from there. Paloma, how did I do? Do we have any questions? How are we doing? Is there anything I can answer for you? I know we're at time, but if there's anything I can help with, please let me know.
Sure. And Chris, you did just fine. Thank you so much for your time today here at Power to Fly. We will share your contact information with our lovely audience so they can follow Ideate Labs and they can connect with you if they have any further questions. But again, if anybody wants to share a question, feel free to drop it in the chat.
Spec FM, that's the one. And that's the 8-point grid rule.
Great. Okay, and I think we, yeah, didn't want to interrupt, but I think we can close shop today. Just want to thank you again, Chris, for your time. It was lovely having you, and I'm looking forward for our next events together. So thank you.
I have a quick question. This is Kelly. I have a quick question. This was outstanding, Chris. We really appreciate you sharing your time and expertise with us. And Figma is an amazing tool. I'm looking forward to getting to learn it better. Do we know where this recording, Paloma, will be kept, and will it be available? Is it on the YouTube, and will it be available today?
You will receive a link to the recording between tomorrow and Wednesday. So, and besides that, the chat will live on our Power to Fly side.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay,
so thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I'll close the meeting. Chris, you were amazing. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Lovely to meet.